the endorsements that this guy is seeing is on. Now he has even rapper Waka Flame. Waka Flaka Flame. President Donald Trump was issued a gag order. And this brings us to the issue of free speech, the First Amendment, in his ongoing federal case over the 2020 election.
Minutes ago, Judge Tanya Chutkan announced from the bench that she will impose a partial gag order on former President Donald Trump. Specifically, she will prohibit all parties in the case, including Mr. Trump, from making or reposting any statements publicly targeting the special counsel, his staff, the judge's staff, or court personnel, and also will prohibit statements about potential witnesses and the subject of their testimony.
Okay.
I'm just the word targeting. Okay, well, what does that mean? He can't be like, that guy's an idiot. Really? Why not?
You might as well tell a bird not to sing.
I know.
You think you're going to get Donald Trump to not talk trash?
I know.
Right. Yeah. It's like a setup.
Yeah.
It almost feels like entrapment.
Well, think about, remember that Trevor Bauer story? The guy was falsely accused of rape.
He wasn't allowed to say anything either.
And he wasn't allowed to say anything. He was under a gag order. And this happens all the time. He's under a gag order.
Whatever she wanted,
His
whether it's
accuser,
true or not.
Through her lawyer, New York Post, fake pictures that, by the way, the lawyer had at the time the fake pictures were released. Yep. It was
Friedman,
Brian Friedman, who has done a lot of these types of cases out there. So you saw that he couldn't respond until 2 years later because he's under a gag order. And again, we're dealing with someone who is, some people say former president, some people say sitting president. I say sitting president.
Standing.
Who is a public figure, who is undergoing, right now, he's running for office. So if you keep limiting his ability to criticize, for example, government agencies, that's part of his campaign.
Yeah. Well, and it's also part of his defense. Look, Jack Smith is out there saying all of these things about him, right? And he can say, that guy's lying. That guy's full of crap. That guy's bought and paid for by D.C. He should be able to say that stuff because that guy's out there saying the same other stuff about Trump.
Right. Well, here's the judge on the gag order. Tanya Chutkan?
That sounds close enough.
Says, this is not about whether I like the language Mr. Trump uses. This is about language that presents a danger to the administration of justice. His presidential candidacy does not give him carte blanche to vilify public servants who are simply doing their jobs. By the way, if you were paid, you're not a servant.
Filthy language.
No.
You're not a public service. Whole idea, I went into public service. Really, Joe? Okay, let me ask you this, former Vice President Joe Biden. How else would you become that wealthy? You're an unintelligent person with no discernible skill set. So you have to remember, too, this judge handed down sentences, and this is important, because Donald Trump wants to speak out against the bias of this judge because that is relevant. Is there proof? Judge handed down these sentences to the January 6th protesters that were even more harsh than the DOJ recommended. Right, she sentenced 11 protesters to jail when the DOJ recommended no jail time.
Think about that. The Department of Justice, the people bringing the charges on our behalf, said no jail time for these people. And she's like, nah, I think I'm going to give jail time.
Yeah, and it gets worse. But here, let me read a quote from her. She said, to compare the actions of people protesting mostly peacefully for civil rights to the mob that was trying to overthrow the government on January 6th. So she decided to give jail time. Hey, mostly peaceful. How many billions in damages with the Summer of Love? This is again, right here. Is the law applied equally? So she handed out more harsh sentences, than recommended by the DOJ. And now this is relevant because the DOJ now is pushing for harsher sentences for some of the January 6th protesters that have already been sentenced. So you have, hey, these ones shouldn't get jail. This judge says, nah, I'm going to give them jail. And now the DOJ, the same DOJ, is saying, hey, you know the ones who you've given the kind of jail time that is completely unprecedented? Yeah, we want more. So a good example, Proud Boy leader, Enrique Tarrio, they want him to get, you're talking about decades in prison.
He's already, I think, what is he, 17?
I think he's 17 years, and they want to push for more. They want to now extend it. So you have this judge and the DOJ. He didn't do anything. I mean,
he burned down a police station?
That's a good point.
Well, look, if you're going to call it mostly peaceful protests, you have to apply that same logic to what happened on January 6th, which was way more peaceful than what was happening with the BLM riots.
Not to mention Donald Trump said, be peaceful.
Yeah, words were spoken.
Patriotic and be peaceful.
Almost
and
as
every
though
single one
you're
of those
not
people
supposed to burn stuff
guns.
down.
Yes.
They all own guns and they didn't bring them.
Yeah. And they don't even aim them sideways.
No, they don't.
Well, for fun.
So let's think about this for a second. You have a guy who is being indicted, a guy who's going through a political witch hunt right now, President Trump. He's not going to be able to criticize, well, obviously, effectively the judge. The judge doesn't want to be criticized.
No, of course
but the DOJ special counsel, Jack Smith,
works.
Courthouse staffers or workers, potential witnesses like Bill Barr, right, former Attorney General. Then you have Mark Milley, former VP Mike Pence.
Oh, the guy who keeps talking trash on debate
Think
stages?
about that.
Yeah.
He's running in a primary against Mike Pence, and he's not allowed to tarnish the reputation of Mike Pence. This is what we talked about. Is he going to be able to? Campaign from jail? They're trying to do it without doing it at this point, before we've even reached any kind of a verdict. It's great. You can now no longer address the institutions and the people and platforms who will be attacking you most.
Yeah. Look, if the judge wanted to issue an order saying you can't go after people who work at the courthouse or the judge right now, for now, roughly, the judge, I think, is kind of fair game because she's in public life to some degree, right? Being the judge. I'm okay with leaning that direction, but the rest of these people, no. This is not how you get to do justice. This is not behind closed doors where nobody can make the case that these people are targeting them because they obviously are targeting them. That's what Donald Trump would do. That's part of his defense.
They have it both ways, right? They have the mugshot, they have the perp walk into court, then they have reporters discussing court, but Donald Trump is not allowed to discuss it. And by the way, this is all under the guise that he might influence the jury. Well, okay, let's just be clear here. The jury isn't... Biden won 92% of the vote in D.C.
Yes, it's overwhelmingly liberal in D.C. You're not influencing he's just going to piss the jury off more.
This judge is not concerned with Donald Trump influencing the jury. He's going to piss off the jury, but it will galvanize the American public. That's the difference. He is broadcasting to an audience of the entire nation, and they want to keep this to an audience of 92% Biden voting base. That's really what we're dealing with. Now, here's the thing. If they think that they can hamstring Donald Trump, let's kind of go through this. The endorsements that this guy is seeing is on. Now he has even rapper Waka Flame. Waka Flaka Flame. Waka Flaka Flame.
Man, you almost cuss on accident there.
Yeah, I know. It's tough.
My friend, Snoop Dogg.
He should be able to say whatever he wants about this judge. He should be able to prank call the judge. Hello, is your refrigerator running? Because you're a bitch. Click.
You're not a nice person.
It's not even how you end the line, but okay.
Excuse me, do you have Prince Albert in a can? What? Is that pipe tobacco? Because you're an asshole. We have other people who are realizing this too, by the way. Let's be clear. Like Donald Trump, again, we've talked about this, the DOJ. We're talking about the justice system. This is why he has this weird alliance that you don't typically see with Republicans. You may not like him, but it's a different voting base than you see with, for example, everyone else on the GOP stage in a lot of ways. You even have billionaires right now who have been waking up.
Before you play this clip, just remember, this person that we're about to show you, super liberal, did Hillary Clinton campaign fundraisers, donated a ton of money to Joe Biden. He's the guy, part owner of the Warriors, who said nobody cares about Uyghurs in China that we railed against. This guy also said Trump is an idiot savant without the savant. So that was then with this guy. And now here is him saying what he really thinks about that administration. Let's go.
Voted for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Joe Biden. But this is the honest assessment. The guy did, for the things that he was supposed to do, a good job. And for where every other president found a way to, frankly, make our situation a little bit worse, specifically around wars, he did not do that. Is one's Trump derangement syndrome causing more damage than anything that Trump could have actually done? And I think the answer is yes, because it's now causing us to not see that good work and then embrace and extend it. So much of the work that happened in that administration turns out to have been right. And that's what's so frustrating for me. The work on the border wall. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message.
Mr. Bean's not supposed to talk.
Yeah, he just kind of makes...
You get that guy.
Trump.
When you get that guy on your side, when you get that guy going, you know what, guys, maybe he wasn't all wrong. That's impressive. That's a win. That's why we showed you that, right? That was making the rounds on social media because it's important. But it's like when you get to that kind of level of changing somebody's mind, you know the current administration is screwing up royally. Yeah. He did not want to say that about Donald Trump.
Well, they want to campaign on everything except the actual issues. So when they actually have to campaign on the issues, and we'll get to Joe Biden's campaign, former Vice President Biden, he just has to lie.
Yeah.
He just has to lie and say that you're better off, that unemployment is at a record low, that salary, that right now you're doing better than you were before he became president. No one buys it. And so you have to indict the guy who made the country better off. People are acknowledging this. You have to indict the guy who actually had us in a setting of peace globally. When we're talking about the international community, you have to silence him, indict him, gag order, and then just campaign enough to slip your line and then fade back into the darkness.
Watch Slider with Crowder live Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.